I swear, if that smug bastard had said one more word, I would have cracked his jaw in a way he'd never smile again. We were at a dinner I didn't even want, an ambush dressed up with candles and wine. Ashley, my wife, had called it a serious talk. I thought maybe, just maybe, she was finally ready to work on our marriage. Turns out, I should have worn a bullseye on my chest. He was already there when I walked in. Chase Donovan, the so-called colleague she'd been talking about for months. He had that look, tight black shirt, smug grin, like he was auditioning for the cover of Protein Powder Monthly. And Ashley was sitting next to him, her hand a little too close to his thigh, laughing at jokes that weren't funny. She motioned to the chair across from them. "Logan, this is Chase. You've heard me mention him from work." Yeah, I'd heard. More times than I'd care to count. The mentor, the inspiration, the guy who just gets her. I should have known. I sat down, smiled like a man at his own execution, and kept my fists clenched under the table. Then Chase leaned in, eyes locked on mine, and said, smooth as silk, "You've got two options, Logan. Leave quietly, or face me like a man." Ashley didn't flinch. She smiled, like this was a script she'd been waiting to watch unfold. And that's when I knew. This wasn't a serious talk. It was curtain call. My role? The fool who never saw it coming. I didn't lunge across the table, though believe me, the thought crossed my mind. Instead, I leaned back, forced a smile, and said, "You want my seat that bad, Chase? Careful what you wish for. It comes with bills, sleepless nights, and a woman who criticizes how you chew your food." Ashley's smile flickered, just for a second. Chase smirked like he thought he'd won something. Dinner was a blur after that. I remember Ashley ordering wine she knew I didn't like. Chase prefers red, as if my preferences had expired. I barely touched my plate. When the check came, I reached for it. Ashley stopped me with a hand on my wrist. "No need." Chase insisted. Of course he did. Nothing screams alpha male like paying for the dinner you lured another man into. Walking out, Ashley leaned close and whispered, "You embarrassed me in there." I raised an eyebrow. Funny, I was going for impressed. She rolled her eyes. Chase opened the car door for her, the perfect gentleman playing house with my wife. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. Because here's the thing. I was already one step ahead. I'd known about her little office romance for weeks. And unlike Ashley, I didn't play poker with my cards face up. While she thought she was setting the stage tonight, I'd been setting the trap. Back home, the house felt different. Not rearranged, just wrong. Like walking into a museum exhibit of my own life. Her perfume lingered in the hallway, stronger than usual. Not her usual scent, either. A little heavier. Muskier. The kind you don't buy for yourself. I walked straight into the bedroom. The bed was made. Hotel-tight corners. That was a red flag the size of Texas. Ashley never made the bed unless company was coming. Or unless she wanted to hide something. My phone buzzed. A message from her. "You didn't have to do that." Do what? Not roll over like a trained dog. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened the folder on my laptop marked Taxes 2022. Inside, I had neatly organized screenshots. Messages. Calendar invites. Receipts from dinners she swore were just late meetings. Even a few photos. Chase's car parked outside a hotel 2 towns over. Same nights she claimed she was at yoga. Yeah, I'd been paying attention. While she thought she was running the playbook, I was writing the sequel. The beauty of it was she had no idea I knew. And that ignorance? That was my real leverage. Later that night, she came home all smiles, acting like dinner had been a misunderstanding. "Logan, we should talk. I just want us all to be adults about this." I poured myself a drink. "Adults? Sure. But let's make sure we're playing the same game." She tilted her head. "Meaning?" I smiled. "Meaning, some of us already know the rules." Her laugh was thin, nervous. She didn't realize it yet, but the ground under her stilettos was about to give way. The morning after the dinner debacle, Ashley strutted into the kitchen like nothing happened. She wore a silk robe I hadn't seen in years, hair tied back just enough to look effortless. Translation, she'd spent an hour in the mirror making it look like she didn't care. "Coffee?" she asked, already pouring herself a cup. I raised an eyebrow. "Since when do you make 2 cups?" She gave a light laugh. "Oh, come on. Don't start the day with that face." That face. The one she used to kiss every morning, back when love was a verb, not a contract. I didn't answer, just watched her stir in cream like she had all the time in the world. Ashley thrived on control. If she was humming in the morning, It meant she thought she had the upper hand. She probably imagined I'd spend the night pacing, stewing, replaying Chase's smug grin. She probably expected me to ask questions, cry, beg. Not my style. Instead, I slid my phone across the counter toward her. The screen was black, but the file was open. Screenshots. She froze, fingers tight around her coffee mug. What's this? Proof, I said simply. Her eyes darted to the screen, and I could see the exact second her stomach dropped. Calendar invites with Chase's initials. Receipts for 2 at that steakhouse she claimed was girls' night. A message that read, tonight. Same hotel. Don't forget the perfume. Ashley set the mug down with exaggerated calm. You went through my phone? I smiled. Nope. Yours was too easy. I like a challenge. She tried to laugh it off, but the sound cracked like thin ice. Logan, come on. You can't actually think. I don't think. I cut in smoothly. I know. Silence. Just the hum of the fridge and the faint tick of the wall clock. Ashley leaned back, crossing her arms. So what now? You're going to leave? Throw away 20 years. Funny, I said, leaning forward. I was about to ask you the same thing. Her lips pressed into a thin line. She hated that I wasn't shouting. Ashley liked chaos. Tears. Raised voices. She knew how to win those battles. Were you down until you apologized just for peace? But calm? Calm terrified her. Finally, she scoffed. You think you're clever. You think you've trapped me. I took a slow sip of my coffee. Not yet. But you'll know when I do. The rest of the day, she acted like a sitcom wife. Vacuuming, humming, cooking a roast she hadn't made since our anniversary 5 years ago. Every so often, I caught her glancing at me, trying to read my face. She got nothing. That night, she climbed into bed in lingerie I hadn't seen since, well, since she stopped caring about what I thought. She draped an arm across me. You know, she whispered, we could fix this. Pretend none of that ever happened. Start fresh. I turned my head slowly. Fresh doesn't work when the food's already spoiled. Her hand recoiled like I'd burned her. She rolled over with a huff, but I could tell she wasn't sleeping. Neither was I, because while she was wondering how to spin her story, I was finalizing mine. 2 days later, she tried a new tactic. Logan, I was thinking, she said casually over breakfast. Maybe we should list the house. Downsize. Start somewhere new. Oh, the relocation strategy. Classic. She wanted to scrub the crime scene. I set my fork down. Good idea. I'll let the realtor know you'll be handling it. Her brow furrowed. Me? Sure, I said easily. Since you're the one moving out. The fork clattered from her hand. Excuse me. You heard me. This house stays with me. Her laugh was sharp, humorless. You think a judge is going to give you this place? Please. I've already spoken with. I cut her off. Don't bother finishing that sentence. Because by the time you step into a courtroom, you'll be lucky if they give you the couch. I watched her face drain of color. She knew I wasn't bluffing. What did you do? She asked, voice low. I smiled. I prepared. Later that week, Ashley's sister called me by accident. Funny thing, she slipped and mentioned Ashley had been talking about how free she felt lately. How she was done playing house with Logan. I played dumb. Of course. Oh really? That's news to me. By the time Ashley got home, I had dinner waiting. Not out of kindness. Out of theater. She walked in, surprised. What's all this? Celebration, I said. For the next chapter. Her eyes narrowed. You're bluffing. I poured her a glass of wine. Maybe. Or maybe I've already spoken to your boss. Or maybe Chase's wife has copies of those texts now. Who can say? The glass stopped halfway to her lips. She set it down without drinking. You wouldn't. Wouldn't I? I asked lightly. She glared at me, but underneath the fire, I saw it. Fear. Real, cold fear. The kind that keeps you awake at night. And that's when I knew. The trap wasn't closing. It was already shut. That night, she tried one last desperate play. You don't want to do this, Logan, she said softly, sitting on the edge of the bed. Think of what people will say. Think of Noah. Ah yes, the sun card. The one she thought trumped everything. Funny, I said. I am thinking of Noah. That's why I don't want him growing up thinking this is what love looks like. She bit her lip, searching for words, but nothing came. For the first time in months, maybe years, Ashley had no script. I turned off the lamp. Get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. She lay there stiff as a board, probably imagining every possible way I could dismantle the little empire she'd built on lies. And she was right to be scared, Because tomorrow, the first domino falls. The morning felt deceptively normal. The kind of crisp, sunny day where the world outside looked like nothing inside could possibly be wrong. Birds chirped. The neighbor waved as I grabbed the paper off the driveway. If he only knew. Ashley was in the kitchen pretending to be domestic again, flipping pancakes like she hadn't burned our marriage to the ground. She looked up when I walked in, her smile too rehearsed. "Good morning," she chirped. "Morning," I said evenly. I poured my coffee, black, no sugar, no cream. I didn't need sweetness today. She slid a plate across the counter. Pancakes, perfectly round, stacked like a bribe. Thought we could have breakfast together. Like old times. I sat down, not touching the plate. Like old times. You mean the ones where you weren't scheduling your evenings at the Holiday Inn? Her face didn't flinch, but the fork in her hand froze midair. You know, Logan, sarcasm doesn't suit you. Neither does betrayal, I replied. Silence. Just the faint sizzle of butter in the skillet. Finally, she sighed and put the fork down. What do you want from me? An apology? A confession? Fine. She folded her arms. Yes, I've been seeing him. Happy now. I sipped my coffee. I'll be happy when you're gone. Her mouth opened, ready for a fight. But before she could launch into whatever defense she had practiced in the mirror, I slid an envelope across the table. What's this? Read it. She pulled the papers out, scanning them. The color drained from her face. You've got to be kidding. Not even close. Inside was a clean, ironclad separation agreement. Drafted, signed by my lawyer, waiting only for her signature. I'd spent the past few weeks assembling it quietly, slipping documents into a safe she never touched. Ashley's eyes flicked from the papers to me. You planned this. Of course I did, I said calmly. You think I was going to walk into a trap without building one of my own? Her lips pressed tight. She hated losing control. You can't do this without me, she said, her voice sharp. Watch me. The first call I made after breakfast wasn't to her. It was to Chase's wife. Her number hadn't been hard to find. A few quiet conversations with people in Ashley's office had given me more than enough breadcrumbs. She picked up on the second ring. Hello, Mrs. Donovan? This is Logan. You don't know me, but I think we should talk. There was a pause. A sharp inhale. This about Ashley? So she already suspected. Interesting. Meet me at the cafe on Lincoln. Noon, I said. I'll bring proof. Click. She didn't even say goodbye. Ashley asked me around 11 where I was headed. I told her I had errands. Her eyes narrowed. Suspicion etched across her face, but she didn't push. She knew better than to ask questions when she wasn't ready for the answers. At the cafe, Mrs. Donovan, Hannah, as she introduced herself, looked like she hadn't slept in weeks. Dark circles under her eyes, fingers tapping the table like a metronome. Show me, she said flatly. I slid the folder across. Screenshots, receipts, the works. She didn't gasp, didn't cry, just stared, lips tight, as if she'd been expecting confirmation more than revelation. Finally, she whispered, Thank you. I leaned back. You deserve to know. So do I. Hannah closed the folder carefully, like it might explode. What are you going to do? End it, I said. On my terms. She nodded. Good. Because I'm not letting him walk away clean, either. We exchanged numbers. Not as allies, not yet, but as two people standing on the same scorched earth. When I came home, Ashley was waiting by the door. Arms crossed, face tight. Where were you? Out, I said, hanging my jacket. With who? I raised an eyebrow. Funny, I was going to ask you the same question last Thursday. Her eyes narrowed. You met her, didn't you? I smiled faintly. I don't know Ashley. Did I? She didn't answer. Just stormed off to the bedroom, slamming the door. The sound echoed through the house like a gavel. That night, I didn't sleep in the bedroom. I took the guest room. She didn't knock, didn't come in. But I heard her pacing until after midnight. She finally cracked around 2 a.m. I heard her on the phone, whispering in the bathroom. He knows. I don't know how much. No, he hasn't said. I think he's planning something. I didn't need to hear more. That was enough. I smiled into the dark, staring at the ceiling. Because she was right. I was planning something. And she wasn't going to see it coming until it was far too late. The next morning, I made sure to leave early, let her stew. I stopped by the bank, moved a few accounts around. All perfectly legal, all perfectly timed. I didn't drain her, not yet. That would have been too easy. Instead, I set things up so that when the hammer finally fell, it would land squarely on her pride. Because Ashley loved two things more than Chase: money and reputation. And I was about to take both. When I came home that afternoon, she tried to act casual, sitting at the dining table flipping through a magazine she wasn't reading. "Busy day?" she asked. "Very," I said. She smiled, but her eyes darted nervously. "You know, Logan, we don't have to make this ugly." I set my keys down. "Ugly? Ashley, we passed ugly the second you brought him into our marriage. This is cleanup." Her jaw tightened. She wanted to fight, but she didn't. Instead, she muttered, "You'll regret this." I leaned down, close enough that she could see how calm I was. "No, Ashley, you will." And I meant it, because the first domino had tipped, and the next ones were already lined up, waiting. People expect revenge to be loud. Shouting, slammed doors, maybe a plate flying at the wall. But the most effective revenge? It's quiet. Surgical. You don't swing wildly. You let your target stumble into the trap you've already set. Ashley had no idea she'd already stepped in mine. By the time Saturday rolled around, she was jumpy, checking her phone too often, setting it face down whenever I walked by. I didn't call her on it. Silence was louder than accusations. At breakfast, she tried to test the waters. "Logan," she said, voice syrupy, "maybe we should go away for a weekend. Clear the air. Just the two of us." I looked up from my coffee. "That's so? What about Chase?" Her fork clinked against the plate. "Don't be childish." "Childish," I repeated, nodding. "Right." I went back to my paper, and the silence that followed was thick enough to cut with a knife. She hated it. Ashley thrived on drama, the kind that ends with her being consoled, forgiven. My calm was suffocating her. While she squirmed, I was busy. Behind the scenes, I'd set three things in motion. First, finances. I'd quietly frozen the joint account and shifted the bulk of my earnings into a separate account under my name only. Perfectly legal. I had the receipts to prove most of it was mine to begin with. Ashley loved her spa days, her impulse shopping. She'd notice soon enough when her card got declined buying another overpriced handbag. Second, reputation. Remember Hannah, Chase's wife? We'd been in touch daily now. She was efficient, precise, and furious, the perfect ally. Together, we collected a neat little package of evidence. Screenshots, texts, even photos of Ashley and Chase leaving a hotel. Hannah knew just which social circles to leak it into. Not tabloids. No, the PTO group chat, her yoga class, the neighborhood book club. The places Ashley prided herself on looking flawless. Third, the ace. The part Ashley didn't even know existed. A signed affidavit from one of her coworkers, a guy in accounting she'd mocked endlessly behind her back. He'd been more than happy to confirm her work meetings with Chase were booked through company funds, which, for the record, counted as fraud. So, financially cornered, socially exposed, legally vulnerable. And she hadn't even seen the knife yet. By Sunday evening, she snapped. "Logan," she said, standing in the living room with her arms crossed. "We can't go on like this." "Agreed," I said, not looking up from my laptop. She blinked. "That's it. Just agreed." I closed the laptop and stood. "What exactly do you want, Ashley? For me to scream? To cry? To make you feel powerful?" "Sorry, wrong guy." Her nostrils flared. "You're trying to make me the villain here." I chuckled. "Trying? Ashley, you wrote the script." She opened her mouth, then closed it again. For once, no comeback. That night, I heard her on the phone again. Her voice low, urgent. "I don't know how much he knows. No, he hasn't done anything yet. I think he's waiting." She was right. I was waiting. Monday morning, I dressed for work like nothing was wrong. As I grabbed my keys, Ashley hovered by the door. "Are you coming home for dinner tonight?" she asked. I smiled faintly. "Depends. Should I book us a table at the Holiday Inn?" Her face flushed crimson. "That's not funny." It wasn't a joke. I left her standing there, stunned. At lunch, I met with Hannah again. She slid a flash drive across the table. "Everything you need," she said. Texts, photos, even Chase bragging to a buddy over email. I nodded. "Good. How do you want to play it?" She leaned back, eyes sharp. "You handle your wife. I'll handle mine." Fair enough. By the time I got home that evening, the first ripple had already hit. Ashley was pacing in the kitchen, phone glued to her ear. "Yes, I saw it. No, that's ridiculous. Of course it's not true." Her eyes snapped to me when I walked in. She hung up quickly, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Rough day?" I asked, hanging my jacket. She glared. Somehow, a few rumors got around today. About me and Chase. Rumors? I raised an eyebrow. That's funny. Usually, rumors don't come with timestamps and hotel receipts. Her lips parted. You? Me? I shrugged. Couldn't be. She slammed the counter with her hand. You're ruining my life. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. Ashley, I'm not ruining anything. I'm just showing people the life you chose. For the first time, I saw it, the flicker of fear in her eyes. Not anger, not defiance, real fear. And it was beautiful. That night, she tried a new tactic. Tears. She sat on the edge of the bed, mascara streaking down her cheeks. Logan, please, she whispered. We can fix this. We can get help. I don't want to lose you. I studied her face. Maybe once upon a time, that might have worked. But now, I saw the performance for what it was. A bid to regain control. You already lost me, I said quietly. She sobbed, burying her face in her hands. I stood, grabbed a blanket, and walked to the guest room. Her cries echoed down the hallway, but I didn't look back. Because tomorrow, the second domino would fall, and Ashley would finally understand what it felt like to lose something she thought she owned. Tuesday morning, I didn't need coffee to wake up. The phone buzzing nonstop in the kitchen did that job. Ashley was already on it, pacing barefoot across the tile, whispering frantically. No, it's just gossip. You know how jealous people are. Her face turned pale when I walked in. She hung up immediately. What? She snapped. Just wondering how many times you'll say jealous people before you realize everyone believes the photos, I said calmly, grabbing a glass of water. She glared. You don't know what this is doing to me. Oh, I know, I said. That's why it's working. By lunch, she'd called 6 people. By dinner, she'd blocked half of them. And by bedtime, she was curled on the couch with a glass of wine, staring at nothing. That was domino 2. Wednesday was worse. Logan, she said, storming into the living room, waving her phone like it was a weapon. My card got declined. At the salon. Do you have any idea how humiliating that was? I didn't look up from my book. Yeah, I imagine it was. Her jaw dropped. You did this. Correction, I said smoothly. Your actions did this. I just removed my money from your reach. She paced, furious. I can take half, you know, in the divorce. True, I said. But fraud charges have a funny way of adjusting those numbers. Especially when your little hotel trysts were billed to your company card. Her face went white. She knew I wasn't bluffing. For the first time, Ashley didn't have a comeback. She just turned and walked away. That was domino 3. By Thursday, she tried something new. Submission. She made breakfast, packed my lunch, even ironed my shirts. It was almost sweet, if you ignored the part where she was only doing it because she was cornered. That night, she approached me in the guest room, her eyes wide, her voice soft. Logan, I'll stop seeing him. I'll delete everything. Just, let's not end like this. I studied her. Why now? She swallowed. Because I love you. I laughed. A dry, sharp laugh that made her flinch. Ashley, if you loved me, we wouldn't be here. Her face cracked. So that's it. Not quite, I said, standing. There's one more thing. She looked hopeful, like maybe there was still a deal on the table. She didn't realize she was standing in the middle of the board I'd been playing for months. Friday morning, the final domino fell. Ashley came downstairs, hair disheveled, holding her phone with shaking hands. Logan, what did you do? I looked up from my coffee. Define what? She threw the phone onto the table. It was open to her office email. Chase had been fired. Effective immediately. The reason? Misuse of company funds. And her name was all over the investigation, CC'd on every thread. You ruined him, she whispered. I sipped my coffee. No, he ruined himself. I just sent the receipts. She staggered back like I'd struck her. They'll think I was in on it. They won't think, I corrected. They'll know. Her lip trembled. You wanted revenge? I set the cup down slowly. No, Ashley. I wanted clarity. And now everyone sees you clearly. She collapsed into a chair, staring at nothing. For once, she had no performance left in her. I grabbed my jacket. Where are you going? She asked faintly. I smiled, opening the door. Somewhere you'll never find me. See, you thought this was about making you pay. But the real revenge? It's you living with the ruins while I walk away clean. The door clicked shut behind me. And just like that, she realized the cruelest twist of all. I didn't need to destroy her. I only needed to leave her with herself.